Hi, very good morning, everyone. Welcome to the virtual classes. So, in our last class, we completed your first module. If you have any doubts, you can text me. Today's session, I am going to start with the second module, and that is about Reserve Bank of India. Almost most of the things you know about Reserve Bank of India, but still, I tell you the basic things, history of Reserve Bank in today's class and the objectives. In the next session, we will discuss about the functions, roles, responsibilities, and prudential norms, everything. Okay. So in the today's session, we will discuss about the history of RBI and the main objectives of RBI. So, Reserve Bank of India. See, basically, it was set up based on the Hilton Young Commission's recommendations. In 1927, Hilton Young Commission recommended to set up a Reserve Bank of India, but uh, when they recommended, first they rejected it. Then later, after 6 years, in 1933, again the bill was freshly reissued, and it is reissued by White Paper on Constitutional Reforms. Actually, basically, this white paper on constitutional reforms is another committee. Okay, they reissued that bill, same bill, so they accepted it. That is how RBI Act 1934 created. So, as per the RBI Act 1934, the RBI Reserve Bank of India came into exist in 1935. The very important thing you need to understand here is when they set up the RBI first time, okay, in 1935, RBI was commercial bank. Okay, commercial bank means it is a private bank. It is not a government bank. It is private bank. So uh, the thing here is you need to understand when RBI came into existence, it was free independence, right? We got independence in 1947. It was free independence. That is why it is not a government bank completely. That is one logic you can understand. And second thing, it is after all by bringing one act, they developed this bank. They came into exist. So because of that reason, it is a private bank. So RBI came into exist in 1935 as a commercial bank. Its headquarters is in Mumbai. Earlier, it was in Kolkata. Then later in 1937, they shifted it into Mumbai. So please don't think that before the Reserve Bank of India, there was no bank. No, actually, when I explained the concept of evolution of Indian banking system, I explained everything. Okay. So before the RBI, Imperial Bank used to perform the functions of central bank in India. That means there was a Imperial Bank. That bank used to act as a central bank. So that used to perform all kinds of functions of central bank in India. So Imperial Bank, already I explained you in a previous session by using the same diagram. So we had three banks: Bank of Bombay, Bank of Bengal, Bank of Madras, established by East India Company. And for combining together these three banks, they called Presidency Banks. And later in 1921, they merged these three banks: Bank of Bombay, Bank of Bengal, Bank of Madras. They merged all the three and they called it Imperial Bank. Then again in 1955, so it is just converted into State Bank of India. So this is about Imperial Bank. So before the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, which bank used to act as a central bank? That is Imperial Bank. Remember this. So even after the partition of India, this is for your knowledge. So I'm giving this point. even after the partition of India, the Reserve Bank of India served as a central bank of Pakistan up to June 1948. That means the partition of India happened in 1947 itself. So even after that, till June 1948, okay, almost 1 year, Reserve Bank of India acted as central bank for Pakistan also, because they needed time to set up their own central bank. So till that time, Pakistan acted as Reserve Bank acted as central bank for Pakistan. Next, Reserve Bank Act 1948. Then, by passing this bill, Indian government took over the RBI from the private shareholders. Just now I told you, when they established this Reserve Bank in 1935, it was commercial bank, that means private bank. By passing an act called Reserve Bank Act 1948, government of India, they paid some compensation to the private shareholders, and they took over the RBI. That means then nationalized virtually in 1949. Okay, 1st January, the RBI nationalized. That becomes a government bank. RBI becomes completely government bank in 1949 as per the Reserve Bank Act 1948. Okay, so now RBI becomes completely government banks, and government also gave some powers to the RBI. But the problem here is, who will regulate the entire banking system in India? As a government bank, it is a job of RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So that is why they made it as a central bank, apex bank. Okay, and also government gave that regulating authority to the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. For that, RBI needs some legal power. It is not that simply RBI telling something to the commercial bank means who will listen to them. Correct. They must have some legal power. That is why they brought another act, Banking Regulation Act 1949. This is a legislation just to give a legal power to the RBI, and to bring every bank, entire banking system in one law. They brought this Banking Regulation Act 1949. Through this act, RBI started regulating all the banks in India. So now we will discuss objectives of the RBI. I hope all of you understood the basics about Reserve Bank of India, how it evolved. Now we will understand the the primary objective of the RBI. Okay. So as per the RBI Act, it is having its preamble. As per that preamble, the basic objective, the primary objective of the RBI is to regulate the issue of banknotes. That means currency. Who is having authority to print the Indian currency? Only Reserve Bank of India. Remember this, it is not Government of India. Government of India cannot print Indian currency. Only Reserve Bank of India can print the currency. Even if a Government of India want money, okay, they can borrow money from the RBI, or they can issue some bonds, okay, some securities to the public through RBI. Then they can collect money from the public, but they cannot print. So only Reserve Bank of India can print by checking out the supply, demand, everything. Second primary objective is to secure monetary stability in the country. That means to maintain the stability in a country. That is why they brought monetary policy, to maintain the money supply in the economy. So for this they use different tools. They have CRR, SLR, repo, reverse repo to maintain the stability. All those things we will discuss in the upcoming classes. Next, to meet the economic challenges by modernizing the monetary policy framework. This is another primary objective of Reserve Bank of India, to meet the economic challenges by modernizing the monetary policy framework. So we have a lot of problems to meet that, okay, to face that challenges. RBI has to modernize and bring some new policies. That is how we got a different kinds of banks. For example, see, for solving a special problems or focusing on some special particular area, okay, we found special banks. And to develop a particular sector, we got developmental banks. This is how they are thinking and modernizing their monetary policy framework. And the primary focus of the RBI is to supervise and undertake the initiatives on behalf of the financial sector, which consists of financial institutions, commercial banks, non-banking financial companies. That means, of course, the another primary focus of the RBI is to supervise all the commercial banks and other banks in India. Next, other general objectives of the RBI. Now, till now we understood the primary, the basic objectives which is given in the preamble of the RBI. Now, other general objectives, then what else extra RBI is doing and what's their main aim? So, to manage the monetary and credit system of the country. So, their another objective is managing the monetary and credit system, how much to give loan, because there should not be excess inflow of money or a currency in the economy that leads to the inflation. So for that, to control that credit and also to control the monetary system to money supply in the economy. So that is one objective. To stabilize the internal and external value of the rupee, of course, stabilize the value of rupee in a internal market and in a external market also. That is another one. Then for balanced and systematic development of the banking in the country. So this is needed. So we need a development in a banking system and it must be in a balanced way, correct? It should not harm any other sector. So that is why maintaining that balance. So see, if nobody is there to regulate the banking system, like a private companies, they can also cheat the government and they can do whatever they want. They will charge high interest rates. That is why we have RBI to control everything. And for the development of organized money market in the country. So to develop money market in the country in a systematic way, in an organized way, for a proper arrangement of agriculture finance. So all these things are small points. Proper arrangement of agricultural finance. For that, they set up few separate banks for that, like a NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Okay, and proper arrangement for industrial finance. So they set up developmental banks like Industrial Development Bank of India, IDBI. Proper management of public debts. This is very important. See, just now I told you, if a government want money, they cannot print, they can borrow money from the RBI, or they can issue some bonds, securities to the public through the RBI, and they can collect. Now, if a government receives money, okay, they can also deposit that money in a RBI, okay, they can keep that money in a RBI, and managing that public debt. Public debt means what? Government is collecting money from the public by issuing some securities or some bonds, uh, gold bonds, sovereign. Okay, so for that amount, whatever the money collected by the public, for that we call public debt. So proper management of that, because government also should not cheat the public. So for the proper management, we have RBI. That is one objective, to establish monetary relations with other countries of the world and international financial institutions. Of course, we need one person from the banking sector to represent our India in the external world. So that is our central bank, Reserve Bank of India. So they also try to establish a very healthy relationship with other countries, central banks, and also in international financial institutions, okay, like a World Bank, IMF. So they will maintain very good relationship with the other institutions. Next objective is for centralization of cash reserves of commercial banks. So this is another objective, centralization of cash reserve. So this is why I told you, cash reserve ratio. how the commercial banks has to maintain some percentage, maybe now it is 4%, has to maintain some percentage as a CRR, cash reserve ratio. So that is important for all the commercial banks just to maintain their security for the depositors and to maintain the balance between the demand and supply of the currency. Of course, I told you this, controlling the money supply in the economy. For that they use monetary policy. These are the main objectives. Okay, I explained about primary objectives and the general objectives. So this is about the basic history and the objectives in a brief way. I hope all the points are very simple and everyone understood. um, Thank you so much. Have a nice day. In the next session we will discuss about the functions and monetary system and different roles and responsibilities of RBI. So we discuss everything. Thank you. Have a nice day.